Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. In this video, I will go through all of the Squadron 42 specific tasks on the roadmap set to be worked on this year. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members who allow me to make these kinds of videos. If you do enjoy my content and would like to support the channel even further, all of the links are in the description below. So I have covered all of the ships and their upcoming features. I've covered all of the upcoming locations and points of interest. Plus, I've delved into Alpha 3.13 and what features we will hopefully be getting with the first patch of the year. Today, I would like to take a look at all of the Squadron 42 specific features present on the roadmap to receive work in 2021. That being said, many of the features are shared between the PU and Squadron, but I'm only going to focus on the features specific to Squadron 42 and not directly related to the PU. I will be working on other roadmap videos like all of the FPS features in the near future, so if that's of interest to you, be sure to hit subscribe. Now, I'm not going to go through the dates for the Squadron 42 features, as it'll make no difference to us, as we have no idea when Squadron 42 is set to release. It'll be released when it's ready, and it won't give us any clues as to when to expect it. But let's kick off with the locations. So the coil is first on my list. Now, this was under the Squadron 42 level design flight section, and the coil is an electrical phenomenon that exists in the unusually dense asteroid cluster that closely orbits the white dwarf of Odin. It is thought to be the remains of the first planet in the system that was destroyed by a catastrophic collision and is beset with constant electrical storms inside. Within the coil, there is actually a huge amount of extremely valuable minerals and caches, but they remain relatively untouched due to all of its dangers. Next up, we have the Archon station, which is the large Shuban mining station that the UEES Stanton, which is the Idris you are on, has been assigned to watch over. Last we heard was that the station was about 6 kilometers in length and is being entirely constructed with the correct interior and exterior dimensions, just like all of the ships. It'll also have a transport system inside to allow for quick traversal of its interiors, and it is a very impressive station, and I fully expect to see them in the verse once Squadron 42 has released. Another location is Gaini, which is Odin 1's former moon. This still drifts near the remnants of the planet, and was the moon that was featured in the vertical slice. Now, Gaini has a weak atmosphere and was used for fracking operations, in which features a gas refinement plant, which actually brings us nicely to the next location, known as Chemline. Now, this is the gas extraction facility on Gaini, erected by Chemline Solutions in 2904. It was abandoned in 2923 thanks to a fallout regarding security due to the unexplainable fissures on the moon, and has since become occupied by a slaver group. This extraction facility is where a section of the campaign takes place, as we see the main protagonist make their way down to rescue the advocacy agent Rebecca Trio. The facility is intended to have multiple access points to allow the player to approach the location however you choose, be that stealth or guns blazing, and will also involve quite a few hands-on puzzles like maybe getting an elevator working or opening shutters, and have some interactable things around it as well. Next up is a location that I've never heard of called Breaker's Yard. This is an environmental location hidden deep within Odin 1 or Gaini. Now, there was a location on Daymar called Brio's Breaker's Yard, which was a salvage yard and was the location for prohibited goods to be sold, with a description reading from cheap parts to material resale. Brio's Breaker's Yard is your one-stop shop for all of your salvage needs. So whether that gives us any indication as to what to expect for the Breaker's Yard found on Gaini's 1, I have no idea, but the chances are good, as the clue might be in the name. The Outer System, as it's called, is also on the roadmap, which involves a polish pass on existing environmental assets around the Outer System. I'm assuming of the Odin system, but it doesn't actually state. Now, we don't know just how much freedom we will have in Squadron 42 in regards to exploring the rest of the Odin or any other systems. With us serving in the UEE Navy, I do expect that if you waver too far off track from mission, you might get called back. Otherwise, you'll be going AWOL and it might fail the mission. Now, there's one card called Station Kit, which aims to further improve assets required for building out space stations. The stations in Squadron 42 are far more bespoke and unique than those currently in the PU, as they have been completely handcrafted compared to the PU's procedurally assisted R&R stations. Now, this sounds like it'll be a better set of tools and assets to help with the process of building out these unique locations and ensuring the quality remains as high as possible. Talking of stations, we have the Macedo station, which is the station we got to see an in-depth tour of recently. This was built by Macedo, who manufacture interstellar communications equipment, and although the station was built specifically for Squadron 42, Macedo stations will be found within the PU one day. Whether they're just in Odin or if they're spread throughout the verse, I don't know, but do expect them to make their way into the PU. Now the next card is Planets and Organics, and is to further extend and polish the assets required for populating multiple places of interest located around the Odin system for Squadron 42. With it specifically referring to organics, it sounds like it's talking about plant life and other possible creatures, maybe species native to the Odin system, which will be fascinating to see, so I'm looking forward to that one. Now, as you might expect, this next card, Derelict Damage Pass, is to further improve the derelicts and damaged assets throughout the campaign. Unfortunately though, that is all that it says. We have seen many snippets or scenes of large derelict ships, either in space or from a few years ago, a walk around a derelict Idris planetside. But whatever happens in Squadron 42, I am excited to go wreck diving, and hopefully a lot of this will come over to the PU just to really buff up the wrecks, making them look a little bit more intriguing. So next up, we'll take a look at all of the work being done for ships in Squadron 42. Firstly, there are a few ships in the works for Squadron, which include the Aegis Idris, the capital ship which we get transferred to, the RSI Bengal carrier, which is the huge, almost 1 kilometer, in fact I think it's now over a kilometer maybe, fleet carrier, the Aegis Gladius, Retaliator and Redeemer, the RSI Polaris, the Anvil F8 Lightning, Anvil Hornet F7A Mark 1 and 2, and the Tumbril Nova Tonk. Now we don't know to what capacity we will be interacting with any of these other vehicles and ships planned to be present in the Squadron 42 campaign. We are a combat pilot of a fighter craft, not a pilot or driver of capital ships or tanks, so chances are they are just to be seen and not used. But whether we are able to get on board them in any way, I have no idea, other than the Idris and the Gladius, and potentially the Bengal carrier and the F8 Lightning, if we are good enough. Either way, there are some pretty damn exciting ships and vehicles to see in action throughout the campaign. So directly leading from that, we have gold standard ships and vehicles, which include the Aegis Gladius, the Retaliator, the Argo MPU-V, and the Hornet F7A Mark 1 and 2. Why all of the ships and vehicles don't have a gold standard listed on the roadmap, I don't know, but all this kind of means is getting the ships to their finished quality with all the tech and the polish that you would expect to see from a finished AAA game. Now, we should see some of this coming to the PU as well for each of these ships and vehicles, and whether all of the features slated for the PU are necessary for Squadron 42, I don't know, but some of the features could include physical components, physical damage, interactable dashboards and access points, controllable surfaces like ailerons, agent degradation, functioning multi-crew stations, and so on. It will also include polishing, optimizing, and everything else to make the ships look as good as possible. Talking of gold standard, there is a deliverable set for the Vanduul fleet to receive the same treatment, stating implementing, polishing, and optimizing all features required to bring the various ships of the Vanduul fleet to the gold standard. Now, we did get to see on a recent Inside Star Citizen the new look of the Vanduul ships, and they do look phenomenal, so I cannot wait to see them in-game for ourselves. There is a card titled Squadron 42 Vehicle Support, which is just polishing and iterating on various vehicles needed for the campaign, plus an enemy ship card, which states constructing and implementation of approved concepts for various enemy ships. Now, this could mean ships that we have yet to see, maybe the one that we spotted in the short teaser at the beginning of the briefing room. That could be one that is related to this. It doesn't just refer to Vanduul ships, as it will also apply to the OMC Outlaws who have human ships. I do expect CIG though will hide some unannounced ships until we get to play Squadron 42. So one very important card for Squadron is Checkpoint Restore Ship State. It says once implemented, reloading from a checkpoint will restore the ship state when it was saved, or in a designer specific state. So as you would expect, you could hit save and then you fly into battle and blow up. This will allow you to then reload a checkpoint and your ship will return to exactly what it was before the explosion. So very, very important for Squadron 42. Now, the final vehicle feature is boat movement parameters, which, as you can expect, is the creation and support of a new vehicle movement simulation type for use with boats and other aquatic vehicles. Now this feature only currently applies to Squadron 42, so do expect to see a boat moving or a boat-like vehicle moving somewhere within the Squadron 42 campaign. Whether we can interact with it or take control of it, I don't know. I highly doubt it, but it will eventually apply to the PU one day as well, which means we will likely see a series of aquatic vehicles available to buy and use. Now, boats were spoken about in the past, and last that we heard was they haven't quite decided whether they will make our spaceships capable of boat or submersible capabilities, or whether they will create new water-dedicated options. It looks like they may have decided, but that isn't a certainty. So next up, we have a Squadron 42 FPS feature. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the things that are FPS related, as many of them do cross over to the PU, and some of them I've covered in previous videos, but I do want to do a more dedicated FPS video as well. But what I will mention is a Squadron 42 specific feature so far, which is pretty much my favourite, called Mop and Bucket. Now, this deliverable is not just for the use of a mop and bucket. This enables support for AI janitors to use multiple tools in either hand. So having a believable crew moving around the ship performing janitorial tasks using an array of various tools like a mop and bucket. Now, I really hope that one day we get this in the verse. Then if someone in my org does something wrong that isn't really brig worthy, I can punish them with mopping the decks. So as I mentioned, there is a lot of shared FPS features between PU and Squadron. Things like magazine stripping, healing, weapon misfires, personal inventories, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go through them all on this video, as this is mostly just referring to Squadron 42 specific deliverables. However, I am working on a dedicated FPS roadmap features video for the next video. That will cover all of these individually, so I'm going to leave it there for the FPS stuff. There is a bit of a wild card for the Squadron 42 art team called Jean Cargo, which says construction and implementation of interior and exterior approved concepts. Now, I have no idea what this is, why it's there, or what it will involve. Is it referring to a Jean Cargo ship, a Jean station, or maybe a location like a derelict, or simply just Jean Cargo types like boxes? I am pretty clueless with this one, so do let me know what you think it could mean in the comments below. To finish with, there are a lot of sections dedicated to Squadron 42 titled Level Design 1 FPS, Level Design 2 Flight, and Level Design 3 Social. Each section contains almost each chapter from Chapter 1 through to Chapter 28, being the highest listed, and states it is designing, implementing, and iterating on that particular chapter of the Squadron 42 single-player campaign. Now, this will mean going through each chapter and ensuring that all of the flight, FPS, and social aspects of that chapter is as good as they can be, but as you can imagine, there is nothing specific about each chapter to avoid spoilers. So that is the current Squadron 42 specific roadmap and all of its features set to be worked on in 2021. There is so much to do, but obviously they have prioritized Squadron 42, and it's looking like it's going to be something truly special when it's ready. With that said though, that brings me to the end of the video. As I say, I will be looking deeper into the FPS features in an upcoming video next, so if you would like to learn more about those, make sure you are subscribed and tick that notification bell if you would like to be notified when my videos go live. If you could do me a big favour and hit that thumbs up button, I would really appreciate it. And if you want to come and hang out and chat Star Citizen, you are all more than welcome over on twitch.tv/supermacbrothersryan. Again, a big thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Cannot do this without you guys. All of the links are in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.